Hey everybody, welcome to my video on how to convert Babylon 5 to 4K HDR legally, of course, on your machine using a program called Topaz Video AI. The reason why I did this, I'm doing this video it's one of my favorite shows of all time. I just love it. And the time period that it came out with, it has one hell of a storyline, and it does pull you in. There's a couple episodes that I kind of find kind of silly, like the one that does like a kumite thing. I that episode I never really liked, but a lot of the other stuff in the storyline, it's just awesome storyline. So the way I got started on this is that I was doing some look to see, is somebody ever going to upgrade this to 4K? And I found YouTube videos of people showing how they replaced frame by frame or sections, and they're upgrading it to 4K and they're redoing the animation and stuff. But the problem is they're going to run to is they're showing you all this, but they are never legally allowed to give it to you. They can't give you that. They can't give you whatever they create because of copyright infringement. So you have to do this on your own. So in this video, if you want to follow these steps that I'm going to show you on how to convert your version of Babylon 5 to 4K HDR, you're going to need the DVD version, which is my favorite version. I don't like the Blu-ray version. One is you're losing a whole bunch of viewable space on the sides. And even though the picture is actually clear, they added a noise layer over it, which I don't really like, and it's very hard to get rid of that noise layer completely anyways. So you've got that noise layer, you got those sides. So I didn't really like that. So I took the DVD version. Now the downside of the DVD version is most of the footage was done on widescreen, so it covers your whole TV. But I believe I read articles on this where some parts of it were only done in standard definition, and it basically was a square box. And you can kind of, if you're familiar with the DVD versions, you can tell when those scenes, you hit those scenes because they look all different, awkward when you compare it to the rest of the episode that you're looking at. And what they did is they took the standard definition, they zoomed in and cut off the top and the bottom so that they can change it into a wide screen, which really distorts the whole image as a whole. I really wish they had just left it as a standard definition, just basically make the sides black or whatever. And because it's not like it's a flowing scene, you're not walking down the hallway where it's widescreen and then all of a sudden it goes to standard definition, which is a box. No, they flip scenes, so it'll go widescreen and then the scene flips to something else, which will be standard definition. And then so I wish they hadn't done that, but you can't go to the past, you can't change it. But those scenes are few and far between. Almost all the other footage is in widescreen standard definition. So I wanted to use the DVD set to do this. So I highly recommend you do the DVD set. I'm not going to cover how you pull the DVD, the videos off of the DVDs onto your hard drive or whatever. There are tons and tons of videos and research. You can also ask ChatGPT how to do it, and the AI Copilot ChatGPT will give you step-by-step instructions on how to do it very easily. Will tell you what software that's totally free to do it, and it's totally legal. You can do it. It's you, as long as you own the product, you're allowed to do it. And you can go on Amazon and buy, if you don't have a DVD on your computers because they don't sell them nowadays, just go on Amazon. They buy them, the USB DVDs now. Just buy one. They cost like 20 bucks, maybe less, and just plug it in, and you can do this on your own. Topaz Video AI is quite expensive. They never put it on sale other than Black Friday, and even on Black Friday, their sale is to same price, but they're giving you their entire suite. So it's always $300. I do recommend waiting for the suite because the photo AI, if you have a lot of old family photos and want to see pictures, like I'm in my 50s, my parents are passed away, so I have photos and everything back from the 80s and prior. So photo AI it comes in nice, and I can see my father's face all clear like he was back then and stuff. So it does have its perks, but if the photo AI doesn't interest you, don't wait for a sale. It won't happen. The best you can probably do is you email Topaz, and they may give you like a 5% off coupon or 10% off coupon. You can try that. But So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover the upgrading to 4K HDR. I spent a lot of time trying to find the right combinations. I have over 500 hours easily where I was messing with different combinations. I've had it where I spent almost 15 hours on a single episode trying to find the right, upgrading it and looking for the right combination. I've done Proteus pass with Iris pass on top of that. I've also tried reversing it, doing the Proteus upgrading to 4K and then having Iris trying to clear it all up. Try doing focuses. The focus features really bring out, like, you can see really clear facial stuff on those scenes, but then everything else gets messed up. So the final product, it's not as good as the focus partial parts of the Topaz AI. And if you have the time and patience and want to do scene by scene and then splice it all together, that's up to you. My goal here is to make it as easy as possible for somebody who's not IT savvy, who can follow step-by-step instructions, and then just be patient and let their PC take on the work. I have an RTX 3080, so it takes about 2.5 hours per episode. It's about 4 to 5 hours per movie on the Babylon 5. This is all Babylon 5 times, by the way, because I do have all 5 movies. So the video is here to try to make it as easy as possible. Some people can take it to degrees. Like I said, the focus feature really works well. So if you want to use my process to blow it up and then maybe use the Iris focus feature on a scene-by-scene basis, splice it, and then merge it all together, ChatGPT and Copilot will tell you exactly how to do it. It's easy, but again, that's not the goal of this video. That is on you. This video is to teach normal person, not IT savvy, 2.5 hours per episode. You set up the settings, save the template, and then just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then once you have all of your episodes upgraded to 4K, you can put them on your USB drive, your Plex server, whatever, so that you can watch it on your home TVs, which is totally legal as long as you have the hard copies, which I do. All right, with that said, now I'm going to go into the next section, which is to show you some side-by-sides. You're going to see the old DVD and then the new version. I'm going to show you some scenes from season 1. I also already converted episode 21 on season 3, which is one of my favorite ones. And then I also have 2 of the movies already converted, which is In the Beginning and The Gathering, which The Gathering is technically not a movie, but it is as long as a movie. It's technically episode what they call 0. So I covered that as well. And then the final and the end of this video, I'm going to go over all of the Topaz settings and exactly what I did and why I did it and what happens if you change these settings and what I experienced. All right, so let's go. With that said, let's go on to the before and afters. All right, so here I picked 4 episodes and I set them on specific points because I want to show you some scenes on here on the before and the after, so you can kind of get an idea. In episode 1, we're just showing you one scene that goes from like far away up to up close, and you can see how the difference is. On episode episode 2, which is this one, you'll actually, instead of changing a scene where they zoom in, you'll actually see them walking up and how the clarity works out. And it does a pretty good job of figuring out how they're supposed to look. So kind of go over that. So with that said, I'm going to hide myself. And then let's start with episode 1. This is the before. Make it full screen. And then you'll see how this is the DVD version. And you can see how pixelated it is and how you can there's not a lot of noise, but you can't pick up everything. It's not crystal clear like today's footage. All right, so we'll stop that. And then we'll go to the final converted version, which is this. We'll make it full screen, and immediately you can see it's much more clear. Now, it is a little blurry, but that is because of this is a graphic. Back then, I think they were using a Commodore Amiga, so the graphics, you're talking the 1980s, were not as fine-tuned as they are there. So when it's doing the upscaling, it's trying its best. So on some scenes, it comes out really smooth. So here you go. You can see how the scenes already, the colors are sticking out. The facial expressions are all clear. There's no more noise on the screen. You're seeing everybody around the zoom in. Look at that. I mean, it's just beautiful compared to the original stuff. And I think it blows away the DVD, the Blu-ray version. I've compared it to the Blu-ray version, which I also own through Vudu. and this just completely blows it away. So this is from episode 1. So now let's go to episode 2, and this one I'm going to demonstrate. This is the DVD before, where he's on a thing and he's flying out, and it's going to zoom into him and Delenn as they're walking. You see the scene. I like this scene because they follow them through, and then you kind of get like this mixed zoom in type of thing where it's not totally zoomed in on their face, but it's still far away. And then you can kind of see how pixelated it is. It's, you know, it's a DVD. I think it's 720p, maybe even 480. So now, with that shown, let's look at the upgraded version. And immediately you can see how clear this is. And this is just on, this is 4K, but I'm showing you on a 2K display. So keep in mind that this will actually look even better on a 4K TV. So look at how smooth and how different Babylon 5 itself looks. And then now you see them walking up. Everything around you, the backgrounds, they all look solid. The faces don't have those distortions. Some people have seen like AI manipulation, and you see the eyes getting manipulated, and they look kind of weird and stuff. And you're not seeing that here. And again, that's because I found this compromise between all of the experimentation that I did to find that right combination where it is not distorting the original footage. So it doesn't look as, I could have gotten it crisper, cleaner, but then it starts to distort too much. So this was that middle area where the distortion was literally non-existent, and you get the clarity and the HDR effect with the colors. Here's another scene. I picked this scene in particular because it's very dark, and if you look on the left side of what I'm showing you now, that light feature there causes, depending on what algorithms you're using, it causes them to get really strange and creating dots everywhere because of the way it's a dark room with these weird light sources. So I wanted you to see how this comes up with when you have all the weird light sources and these parameters that I came up with on Topaz AI and how it finally picked it. So I also like this scene because Jakar is going to hold up 2 shrimp, and the shrimp get all pixelated as well. So in the final version, it looks really smooth. And if you look on this on a 4K TV, it looks beautiful. So we'll go through this part of the scene. There's he's holding the 2 shrimp. And this is the original DVD, not the upgraded. So now he's going to be walking to his desk. You see the pillows on the backside, which I'm pointing out things that I want you to see because when I show you the upgraded version, I want you to look at the very same things on how well that these parameters that I picked did it, so that they don't get what they call this halo effect, where it gives it sort of this glow look, which is unfortunately, when you mess with the parameters too much, you get this weird glow look. All right, so let's pause this and go to the upgraded version of this one, where Jakar is now making his dinner, and you see that whole back left side. It's not distorted, the lights. They look pretty clear. So it didn't, the lights didn't trick it with when it's trying to ultra focus into it. The pig's head looks nice and smooth. Jakar's face is beautiful. His outfit, look at the outfit and how it came out on this HDR 4K upgrade on it. And pay attention to the shrimp legs. If you don't get the parameters just right, the shrimp legs end up looking like lightsabers. So they don't look like lightsabers. And again, this is 2K, and imagine if it was a 4K, because you know, again, my monitor is only 2K. And you, oops, let me rewind this so you can see the pillows. We missed the pillows. And then you see the pillows, no glowing effect, perfectly smooth. Look at Jakar's head, the way it's all nice and smooth. There is no noise factor. If you know the Blu-ray version, there's like this weird noise layer all over it. There's no noise. This thing looks really clear. And I'm going to, again, the last section, I'm going to go over the parameters and show you how to do this. And then this scene, I'm not going to play the audio for the DVD version, but I'll play the audio for when I show you the converted one. And I picked this scene specifically because it's showing you the battle against the shadows. This is the season 3, episode 21. And it's one of my favorite episodes, battle scenes. And you can see how it's pixelated. I mean, the battle's still great even on a DVD version, but you can see that it's pixelated. Again, this is 720p that we're blowing up into 2K right now because I got a 2K monitor. But it doesn't look as clear. And I think you get the gist of it. And then let's go to the actual real battle scene. And then you can get some of the see the upgraded version of it with Topaz AI and how clear the video is. And look at the colors, the smoothness, no noise all over it. Look at the faces. I mean, it's just out of this world.
Carrier come about and engage.
Love this battle scene. Love it. Just look at the details on how it's able to recover the details and blow it up to 4K. And I want you to, right here, look at the background. So normally, if you go too heavy on the algorithms, you see Sheridan's face in the back. His face and his eyes would normally be distorted. You can tell there's a slight deviation with the eyes, but it's so small. It's not highly noticeable because it's the Topaz AI trying to fix the face. Because remember, it's blowing it up like 4 times its normal size. But it does a really great job, and I'm going to again give you the parameters on how to do this at the end. Some of the parameters I was messing was completely distorting it, and you get like the teeth looking all weird and stuff like that. So, and we'll cover that once I get into the parameter section. All right, so that's it. We don't need to see this part. And then finally, we're going to go into the beginning. This is one of my favorite scenes of it, but I'm not going to play the sound for the DVD version. I'm just going to give you parts of it, this is where he's going into the monologue about how the humans are fighting basically a cause that is impossible for them to win, a battle that they cannot win, a war they cannot win, and how they fought with honor to the very end. One of my favorite parts of the scene is the carrier, when the human carrier comes up and you see the fighters flying out of it. And the carrier scene, I think, is about to come up. Here we go. This is the carrier scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in this movie, where you know they have no choice. I mean, look, no chance. Look at how many Minbari ships are there. They're going into their deaths knowingly, but they're gonna try anyways. Okay, so now let's look at the upgraded version of it. And this time I'm gonna keep the sound on, because the sound and the music in this particular scene is really motivating. And look, and you can tell the huge difference between the two.
Where was I? Yes, yes. The war, the war. The humans, I think, knew they were doomed. We're another race.
Look how clear that is.
The humans fought.
What a great job Topaz AI software did here. And I looked at a couple of AI software packages and tried their free trials and stuff. And nothing could beat Topaz.
They would weep. They would weep. They would pray. They would say goodbye to their loved ones. And then throw themselves without fear or hesitation. The very face of death itself. Never surrendering. Never surrendering. No one no one who saw them fighting against the inevitable could help but be moved to tears by their courage, their stubborn nobility. When they ran out of ships, they used guns. When they ran out of guns, they used knives and sticks and bare hands. They were magnificent. I only hope that when it is my time, I may die with half as much dignity as I saw in their eyes at the end. They did this for 2 years. They never ran out of courage. But in the end, they ran out of time.
And that's it. So with that said, I went over all these videos to show you. I hope you see what I'm talking about and how to do this upgrade. So now I'm going to go on to the next section, which just show you how to do this yourself, and then go on from there. All right, so here I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, how to do this upgrade. So as you can see, I've got Topaz AI already up. And what the first thing you want to do is you take, once you've pulled the DVDs, the videos off of the DVD set onto your machine, you take the DVD and you're going to want to, the video, which should be in MKV format. And what I mean by that is the extension should be .mkv. You want the original. Don't pull them off of the DVDs in MP4 format. You want to pull them in MKV format so that you grab everything, all of the audio, all of the subtitles. You want to grab it all. Even if you don't use subtitles, I would recommend you grabbing it and rebuild it. So you do that. And I already created this template called DVD BB5 HDR. So we'll select that, and I'm going to go over the parameters. So you'll see it under, you click on source, you'll see this is the DVD that I put in here. This is episode 1, season 1, episode 16. And there's nothing in the export queue, which is going to, the export queue, the source is where it's coming from. The export queue is what it's building, right? So what you want to do is on the parameters, you want to select 4K. You've got various output resolutions. I've tried 4 times. I've tried a few other things. Just set it to 4K. Just set it to 4K and leave it. The other thing is you've got 2 options. It seems to always want to default to original pixel type. The problem then is that it doesn't fit widescreen the way they intended it. It doesn't come up where it actually covers the whole screen. You get some, I guess, black areas. So I changed it to square. Oops. Yeah, so I changed it to square so that it'll fill up the whole TV. So change that to square. Now, with this progressive interlaced and program, let me bring up a program called Media Info. And then in Media Info, it's a free software. ChatGPT will tell you how to use it. You can find it online in several different places. So you take your file, the original MKV file, and you drag it in there. Now it's showing me Babylon 5 Season 1, saying how big the file is, of just 679 megs. That's the original DVD file, 720p. And then we want to do is view text. So it's going to give us some information. So the first thing is we need to see what kind of video type it was originally recorded. Well, here's your answer. Scan type, progressive. So you need to select progressive right there. Other things that are important is frames per second, which we're going to cover a little bit later, right here. The kind of frame rate, which is constant. That's also kind of important. The other things that are kind of important, which we'll call in later, is subtitles. And I'm going to go over again a little bit later in this very same video. So we know the answer, it's progressive, because we see that the original video is progressive. So we select progressive. Now, Topaz has various different, and you can pause this video anytime, different algorithms. I've actually tried them all. Every single one listed here, I've tried them all with various different effects. And what I came up with, the final version, was using Iris. Now, I know Topaz says that Iris specifically works on faces and low, medium quality videos. But in this particular case, for some reason, it's producing the best video footage. Proteus Comes close, but the faces are not as clear. So Iris just does that extra oomph. So I selected Iris. Add noise, 0. For some reason, well, yeah, I mean, adding noise, we don't want, I don't know why anybody would want to add noise. Recovery detail. I think it defaults to like 50 or 10. Set this to 100. Because if not, what's going to happen is it's going to try to rebuild the frame, and then you're going to get things that are missing, like the details on or a pattern is not going to come out exactly right. So you want it to retain all of those details. So set the recovery detail to 100%. Just trust me on this. Focus fix, you can't. Topaz does not allow focus to fire when it's actually blowing it up to 4K. I've experimented a lot with focus. Remember, I mentioned in my earlier sections that I've actually had it where I was going 15 hours as trying to process a single video. The first pass was to blow it up into 4K, and then the second pass was to focus. I've also done it the reverse, focused on when it's at 720 and then blowing it up to 4K. Focus does a great job of really giving you crystal clear scenes for the faces where they're talking and they're really up close, and you're like, oh my God, that face looks great. But then when you start looking at farther away distances, it gets so distorted. You can tell it doesn't look anything like the original footage, and it's just bad. So I'm going to suggest people don't use the focused. Now, if you are an really enthusiast, and you want the most perfect version of it that you can get, you have the ability down here to set start and end points, and you can slice it all up scene by scene. You can use my algorithm for the scenes that are not up close on the face, and then you can use a focus fix on all the other ones and then splice it all together. That's on you. Again, this video is for the simplest way to do this for your average John Doe who you spend a couple of minutes setting it all up, you walk away and you come back 2.5 hours later, depending on your video card, and then you have your full-blown video. So you want to select recovery detail all the way up to 100. Focus fix is off. Input condition, low quality. And apply grain, no grain. I mean, I hate the grain. I don't like the Blu-ray version because the grain is all over the place, and it's just, to me, it's overly cumbersome and overly burdened. It hurts my eyes. Low quality. There is some. They're very close, low quality, medium quality, but there are some slight details. The low quality just does a better overall job, so select that. You want to enable the parameters. Now, if you turn this off, it does default to dynamic with the baseline being all zeros here. It does a decent job, but it could do better, which is why I chose dynamic and then push the numbers up there. If you did manual, it won't come out as clear, because you want dynamic. Dynamic, it lets it fluctuate a little bit based off of its own internal algorithms. So choose dynamic. Fix compression. There's nothing really to fix. At least I couldn't. I tried this and I didn't see anything on there. Improve detail. You got to be careful with this. I've seen. I've tried it all the way up to 100, and you start getting the halo effect quite a bit. And even if you do you see this option, it's like, well, why don't you do dehalo at 100? It removes a little bit of it, but there's still too much. So the improved detail, the 30 is where I found that area where there is no halo. Remember the shrimp on Jakar, the lightsaber leg shrimp that I was telling you about. If you put this improved detail too high, you're gonna get lightsabers instead of shrimp legs. So 30 seems to be that nice sweet spot. Sharpen, just put it all the way up to 100. You want it as crisp as it can possibly get, but retaining that detail. If you change the recovery detail lower, but leave the sharpening up at 100, your detail will be better, but the image will be sharper, but you're gonna lose some of the details, like the knuckles in episode 3, season 3, episode 21 in the beginning. You'll see the knuckles on some of the people, they'll disappear in that one meeting right in the beginning. Delenn, when her hand, when she puts it on top of the counter, you'll see that the knuckle will actually look distorted a little bit. So you want the recovery detail at 100. Just trust me on this, and the sharpening at 100, and you're good. Improved detail at 30. Reduce noise. There are, if you look at the DVD, you'll see occasionally those flashes of noise. I assume that's what they're trying to do here. I've played around with this. I can't see any difference. I left it at 0 because I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any distortions that I may be missing. But the noise of, like, you'll just see all of this sporadic white thingy just all of a sudden show up because of the original recording of the footage. Unfortunately, it's going to still be there. You can't get rid of that. The de-halo, leave it at 0. If you use these settings, you won't have any halo, so don't even worry about it. And again, the de-halo is limited. It doesn't do a full de-haling. Anti-aliasing, very important. Too high makes things look really weird. Too low, it still looks so pixelated. I found 75 to be that sweet spot where it's giving you not completely crisp, but crisp enough where it's like, wow, this looks awesome compared to the original. Frame rate. And this is where it gets a little tricky. People are going to say, well, why didn't you just upgrade it to 60 frames per second and use some of their algorithms? I did that, and I tried it. So here is my experience with it. So I tried various different algorithms, and I tried to update it to 60 frames per second. And the problem is you'll get frames that are really out of sync. Because remember, the AI is trying to guess what that middle frame is. You'll get teeth, or I would call double layer teeth. When they're talking, you'll see that it's not, it's like, do they have like multiple layers of teeth? You got to look at the really details. You'll see where things like the faces will look great, but then the details will look a little bit off. There are scenes where they cut from one view to another, and sometimes the frames that it creates, instead of just switching right away, you'll get this weird thing like it's closing and opening really fast to the next frame. So because the AI is trying to guess what the frame should be, I'm perfectly fine at 30 frames per second, which is 29.97. It's fine. Now remember here, I was talking about in media info, these two settings right here are going to be very, very important. I just chose to just take the original frames, don't create anything new, and let the AI algorithm apply these details to the original frames, not to AI generated ones. And as you saw when you're looking at the footage, it looks really good. There's no weird teeth looking. The only ones that had still some weird things, but it's in the original footage, is when they're really far away. Because remember, if they're super far away and the focus is on something closer by, you know, it's a 720p. It's not the detail is just not there. So the blowing up AI algorithm doesn't know how to blow it up. But using this, it's just, instead of having it guess what the frame is, it's just manipulating the original frame and leaving it at that. So there was a scene where the guy who takes the Seeker of Souls, I think it is, or something like that. I think it's episode 2, where there's a gambler guy who gets stabbed and he dies, or he's about to die, and he's in the emergency area. And this lady who's helping him, she's like working on it, and she looks away towards what I would assume is the medical chart, and looks back at him. Well, in the original frames for a second, that looks smooth. She looks over and looks back. But if you have it guess frames, it's almost like a whiplash. It's like, it's so fast and so weird, and you see like this weird, almost like Flash from the DC comics. Like her head was like super Flash. So this just prevents any distortions like that. So you have to pay attention to the detail. So leave it at 29.97 and turn this off. Even if you were to leave it there, if by default it turns it on, turn it off. All you got to do for HDR is turn it on and leave it on defaults. Don't change anything. Just leave it on defaults. Now let's go on to the codec settings. Codec. We're doing a video, H265, because we are doing 4K. These videos come out quite large. If you don't limit the size, and I'm going to go into a little bit why this size is limited to 40 megabits per second for the bit rate. But if you don't limit the size and you tell it to create whatever it is, the files are about the files will come out to about 22 gigs, 23 gigs, at 70, like 72 megabits per second. And some people say, well, I can use Handbrake to shrink it down. No, Handbrake will not shrink it down. You will lose quality. What Handbrake is doing, you can't, this is the compression, H.265. So despite what you're seeing online and people saying Handbrake does it, it does not compress it. It's already compressed. These are things that I had to learn on my own. And again, ChatGPT even made some mistakes, but then when I pointed them out, she dug in further and she agreed with my final analysis. Topaz AI is already giving you the maximum compression it can give you because it's trying to maximize the visual quality. So if you don't limit it, the file, if you turn this one off, you'll get the best quality possible. But remember, the files are going to be about 25 gigs each episode. So keep that in mind. So you H.265, main 10. And the reason why main 10 is you want 10-bit. If you leave it at main, it'll do HDR, but at 8-bit. Just, again, trust me, it looks better. You get a wider range of colors available to Topaz. You set it to main 10 so it gets 10-bit. Constant frame rate. You want to match this. See, constant, constant. You're making sure you're not guessing on any frames. You don't want Topaz to take guesses on what frames. You want the same frames exactly as the original footage and have them upgraded based off of its algorithms. Don't have Topaz add anything else. So constant frames. The 40 megabits per second. How did I come out with that number? Now, at 40 megabits per second, the files per episode are roughly 12 gigs, a little bit over 12 gigs each. So, which is, it's a good size. I came out with this size of 40 megabits because I use Roku Ultras throughout the entire house. And that is the maximum that the Roku Ultra will accept. If you go above this, Roku is going to downgrade it to 40 and not accept it. And I believe sometimes it will even have some issues as it's playing, depending on. So I never saw issues, but I do know that Roku itself is downgrading the quality. So because the Roku downgrading is, how do I put it? You don't know what it's doing. There's no way to really figure out how does it lower the bit rate. Is it removing colors? What is it doing? If you set it to 40, you're guaranteed to get exactly what you send displayed. So you set it to 40 megabits per second, and then when it does its final one, I think it comes out to like 36.8. It's different per episode, but it's a targeted bit rate, and it's always going to be close to the maximum one that Roku's will accept. Audio, again, you don't want to mess with it, so you just tell Topaz copy it. Don't mess with the audio because it won't come out. If you mess with it, it won't be as good as the original. So you want Topaz to just grab the original audio and move it over to the new container. This is where people are going to be confused on. Why are you doing MP4 and not MKV? The original file you told us to do MKV. So if you set this to MKV, sorry. I don't know why it does it, but Topaz then grabs the subtitles and burns them into the image. And so then when you try to review the MKV, you're watching the video footage and you got all the subtitles at the bottom. There's no way to remove it. There's no option here to remove the subtitles. So if you really don't care about the subtitles and you're never going to want them, you make it an MP4 and then just convert it. But if you are like me, where you want it as close to the original thing as humanly possible, there's several, and I'm going to show you how to do this. There's several steps you got to follow. So you make the MP4, and then you're going to save it as an MP4, and then I'm going to show you now in a few seconds on how to convert it into an MKV. So with that said, give me a second, and then I'm going to go over how to do that last step. All right, welcome back. So on this part, I'm going to cover is how to do the final process. So I showed you how to create the MP4 and how to begin that last process. So I'm going to just click this because I actually am trying to convert episode 16 on season 1. And you'll see it'll start the process in a few seconds, and it'll kick it off, and it takes about 2.5 hours, as you can see. So it's going to be counting down as I'm actually doing this video. So once it's done, if you don't care about subtitles, you don't need to switch it. You can leave it as an MP4 and then move it straight to your Plex if you want to. But if you care about trying to keep the footage to the original, and I got all these answers actually through ChatGPT and Copilot, which is I am amazed. I have no need to ever use Google search ever again. So it tells you to install some programs so that you can get this executable, the FFmpeg, which then will allow you to convert videos. Like this command will allow me to take a video that's an MP4 and convert it to an MKV. The reason why you want to convert it to an MKV is because an MP4 browsers and stuff will have to physically download the whole thing before they can play it. Whereas an MKV, it can read it and play it at the same time. There are MP4 parameters that will move what they call metadata to the front of it, so the front of the file, so that the browser then can play it. But as you can see, Topaz AI does not provide you that option. But MP4s do not support subtitles, whereas an MKV does, and it supports multiple subtitles. So what you can do is, once you're done creating your new file, you're going to have two files. You're going to have the original, right? And then you're going to have the new version that Topaz created for you. So for that, one of the things that I noticed is ChatGPT says to go and install this program to get this. And even when I did Google searches, people were looking for this program to install it. However, I noticed that Topaz AI has it already built into it. And the reason why I know that is because Topaz AI is extremely buggy, extremely sensitive, and crashes a lot and quite often. So one of the things that causes, believe it or not, Topaz AI to crash is putting the monitor. If you put your power state on your computer to be to turn off the monitors after 10 minutes, but leave the computer on itself, that thing of turning off the monitor, you're basically playing Russian roulette. It's a 50-50 chance of causing Topaz AI to crash. So if you just leave it monitor completely on all the time while it's doing the conversion, then you won't have that crash. So it's very picky. And when it does crash, whatever work it was doing, if you look at Task Manager, you're going to see, and I'm going to show you Task Manager right now with what's running for Topaz right now. And you see, there it is. That's Topaz AI using that very program to do its work. Even when Topaz crashes, it doesn't clean its mess up, and then that file just sits there in memory. And it keeps running and running indefinitely. It will never stop. So you have to basically end the task or reboot. I have a feeling that most people who are not IT savvy that have been using Topaz AI, when this happens, they just reboot. They don't know that it's that easy to end task. So that's your workaround. Close Topaz AI, end the task, delete the file that it was working on, and basically restart from new. But the big point is that file is there, and it opens up a lot of commands. So now you have it here, and then this is a command that ChatGPT helped me create, which moves over all of the. And I'm shortening this down so it's easier for you to look at, but it shortens down. It merges all of the subtitles. So what it's doing is it's executing this video program. I don't know what this parameter does. ChatGPT created for me. What I don't know is this works. It says, give me, this is the original, this is my main file, my main video footage. This is the video footage I'm pulling that has a subtitle. So this is your original episode that came off the DVD. This is the new one that Topaz AI created. And then you're telling it you want to make a complete copy of it, you want to, and then you want to pull in all of the subtitles sections with it. So Spanish and English and whatever other versions that they have in there. And so you want to pull all those subtitles into it so that in the Plex server, if you go to the menu, you can click on subtitles and saying, show me the subtext in Spanish. This comes in handy. And the reason why subtitles, I'm actually interested in subtitles. Some people are like, well, I don't care about subtitles. I don't read Spanish. Hearing impaired. My mother-in-law has hearing problems. She needs to read subtitles because she can't really hear what they're saying. So she needs English subtitles. So that's why I'm focused on this. So all these parameters matter. And then when you execute this final command, this final parameter, it's telling it to convert it to the MKV, back to the MKV format with all the subtitles so that it can then be used properly with the internet. So that is the full command. You basically, you want to, this is my version of it because I have all of the files in those paths. As you can see, I'm adding the paths. It doesn't support spaces on the final name. It'll support spaces in the directory. As you can see here, this is a directory, but it doesn't support spaces in the file name. So if you do this, it won't work, which is why you see me renaming the files to Babylon 5. And then this is the file name at the end. So I change all the file names to Babylon. And then when I'm finally done with this final version, I just finally rename it to, this is season 3, episode 21. And then I put that on my Plex server. And then that's it. That's the final thing of putting it all together. So then you have the 4K video. This is just the reason why the weird file names is because anybody who's got already a Plex server and is used to it, they know exactly what this is telling it. It's so that it can set up all of the linking to the internet, get the proper, I guess you can call it, labels and stuff for it, and Rotten Tomato scores and stuff like that. So that's why I have that name. But this is how to actually put the whole thing. And then once that's done, you're done. This does it really quick. It takes maybe about 5 minutes to do that final version. So between each episode, this process here takes about, well, it's probably doing this long because I'm actually recording an episode. So my video card's doing 2 works using OBS Studio and this, but it's usually 2.5 hours if you're not messing on your computer. Then this process alone takes about 5 minutes to do it. If you're doing something simultaneous, it could take up to 10, roughly, depending on your PC. And then that's it. So I hope this helps you. If you got any questions, please leave them down below. I'll try my best to help you and clarify. I believe these video settings could actually work with a lot of the DVDs that are out there back in the time. I will mess around with these settings with some of my other favorite shows that I've had over the years that I have on my Plex server that I got the DVDs and I burnt them on. And I would love to rewatch them, but in 4K because they're just not available in 4K. And I hope this helps. And as a final disclaimer, no, I'm not getting paid for this. Topaz has not asked me to do this. Topaz has not paid me. I'm doing this because I like to do this. And as my channel says, and I said multiple times, I'm doing all of this research and stuff because I couldn't get my answers on the internet. And a lot of people put out breadcrumbs, but never give you the full details. And I don't want somebody to spend 500 hours like I did trying to figure this out. So you watch my video, you follow these parameters. What took me 5 hours just took you maybe 30 minutes just watching my video. And then you're off to the races on your own to upgrade your version of Babylon 5 to 4K. Thank you.